This video will explain how to deal with categorical propositions containing terms that are not nouns. So one of the most common ways a categorical proposition can fail to be in standard form is when one or more of the terms are not classes. In order for a term to be a class, it needs to be a plural noun or noun phrase. So here's an example of one that fails to be in standard form because one or more of the terms are not a class. All cats are afraid of cucumbers. So here we have, it starts out with, it has most of the ingredients that a standard form categorical statement needs to have, but it's missing one of them. So we have, in the beginning, we have our quantifier, all. Then we have the subject term, cats. So that's a noun. That's a plural noun. So that one's fine. And then we have are, so we have a copula. But then our final term is afraid of cucumbers. And that's not a class. That's just a description of a class, of the class of cats, that they're all afraid of cucumbers. So we need to transform the predicate term into, we need to make it so that it's a class. We need to make it so it's a plural noun or noun phrase. And so the way we're going to do that, our go-to way to do that is going to be just to add things to that. So all cats are things that are afraid of cucumbers. Now the predicate term is things that are afraid of cucumbers. And that is a noun phrase that describes a group of individuals. So it describes all cats, but it could describe other things too, right? There could be other things that are afraid of cucumbers. And so that's why it's important to do it as things. So we don't want to change the predicate term into a class, turn it into a class by, let's say, adding animals to it. So if we said like all cats are animals that are afraid of cucumbers, then what we'll have done is we'll have narrowed the predicate class, because instead of being as expansive as possible, things that are afraid of cucumbers, we would now be narrowing it to animals that are afraid of cucumbers. So this would exclude a lot of other possible things that might be afraid of cucumbers, like people or aliens from outer space. Maybe they're afraid of cucumbers too. So we don't want to artificially narrow our terms, because it depends on, we don't know the context for this statement. It might be important in the context of this statement that something else is afraid of cucumbers too, that's not an animal. So our go-to way is just going to be to add things to it. And that's going to keep it broad enough and general enough. So that's how you deal with that. And it's most common that we have, it's the predicate term that isn't a noun or a noun phrase, and that makes sense. It's usually the case that the subject term is a noun or noun phrase already, but if it's not, then you use exactly the same trick to do that, to fix the subject term. Just add things to it. So things that are, and then whatever the descriptor is.